intermittent fasting. Let's talk everything intermittent fasting, what it is, why you might want to do it, and yeah, the pros, the cons, and just what you need to know before you embark on it or before you don't embark on it. So I've personally experimented with intermittent fasting for the past 3 years or so. I've had like really strict eating windows, and I've also just grazed basically every minute of the day, and I've been able to maintain visible lean abs year round, nice toned physique, not too big, not too muscular. I don't really want to be big and bulky, but just a nice toned physique. And I've had really strict windows where I eat in like a 3-4 hour window, basically 1 meal a day type thing. And I've also just grazed every single minute of the day whilst playing sports and that side of things. I've also spoken to a lot of health experts on my podcast who have talked about fasting, intermittent fasting, and all that side of things. So I'm pretty well versed in the topic. And a lot of people don't even know what it is. So typically what it is when people refer to intermittent fasting is like a 16-hour rest window. So eating all your food within an 8-hour window. So that might look like a 9 to 5 or, you know, an 8 till 4, etc. You can do the maths. But that's essentially what it is. And the reason why a lot of people do it is because of autophagy. So they've heard about the beneficial impacts of autophagy. And autophagy is when your body starts cleaning up dead cells and fat and that side of things. And intermittent fasting is kind of popularized because it does it at like an accelerated rate. Once you start going to like 16 hours and beyond, then it's said, and there's certain science that it accelerates cell cleanup, burns more fat, that side of things. Especially once you're in ketosis, that's the kind of science and the kind of narrative around it. And don't get me wrong, there are a lot of benefits, but some of the science is constantly changing. So that's why I'm not a big fan of science. It's continually evolving. That's why I like to go on first-hand experiences, speaking to other people and all of that side of things. Now, a lot of people do intermittent fasting for the wrong reasons. And I'm going to say this early on because a lot of people click off of YouTube videos early on. But a lot of people do it because they don't want to change any of their other dietary or lifestyle habits. And they just want a quick fix. They just want to keep eating processed food, keep eating junk food, but just eat it in a smaller window. And yes, it could be a little bit more beneficial, but unfortunately, it's not a quick fix. You have to still make lifestyle and dietary improvements. Now, some of the benefits I've personally experienced, and a lot of the people I've spoken to have experienced, is mental clarity. That's definitely a big one. When you're not constantly eating and grazing, you are giving your body... tripped on a rock. You are giving your body a bit of a rest. You're not constantly spiking your insulin, and yeah, you're not thinking about food as much. Like, you're not just, every hour or two just grazing and looking around in the cupboards. Like, when you set yourself a clear window to eat in, it can be beneficial. And also, if you work a busy job, let's say it only allows you to have an eating window of a few hours, towards the end of the day or the start of the day, depending on your schedule, it could be beneficial. A lot of the culture around intermittent fasting is for like more calorie dense diets, so carnivore diets, meat heavy diets or fat heavy diets, because it's a lot easier to get the calories in the time frame. But for me, I'm more of a whole lifestyle and diet change guy. I'm a huge advocate and proponent of a whole food plant-based diet. Now, I really love fruit, and including a lot of fruit, some vegetables, all that side of things. Now, whatever diet you align yourself with, that's up to you. But if you're on a whole food plant-based diet, it's already so beneficial. You don't need to necessarily do intermittent fasting. Like for me right now, currently, I probably have breakfast typically about 9 after a workout, and then I'll usually have my evening meal about 5, sometimes 6, sometimes 7. It really depends, because at the minute it's really hot, so I don't have much of an appetite, so I have to wait until later on. And it's going to be dependent on your schedule and your lifestyle. Don't make your lifestyle fit around intermittent fasting. Don't make like changing all your other habits just so you can eat in a certain window. Your diet and lifestyle should accompany everything that you want to achieve in your life. Like, let's say you're super busy, you're an athlete, intermittent fasting might not be the best solution, because you really want to fill up your glycogen tanks, your stored glucose in the muscles. Now, if you're fasting, intermittent fasting for a prolonged period of time, you deplete your body's stores of sugar, of glycogen, this stored glucose in the muscles. So our muscles can store like 400-500 grams of sugar, glycogen, which is stored glucose, sugar. And some athletes can be like 800 grams and beyond. So once that depletes, once we've been fasting for a period of time, normally about 12 hours, like, and ketosis is occurring a lot more, then your performance isn't going to be as good. You're going to bonk, as they call it, where you're just a bit flat. And that's typical in like marathons and things. Once you run out of stored carbohydrates in your muscles, then typically about the 20-mile mark and that sort of area, people start bonking. They're just like, they're running on empty. And you can do that in your day-to-day life if you're undercarbed and you're underfed. So I'm not sure if you can hear the cows mooing, but they're really loud. So yeah, if your window is really restrictive and you're an athlete, let's say you get home after football training in the evening like I used to, but you've got this rigid eating window in your mind, you're not going to replenish your glycogen that you've just depleted, which is stored glucose, like I just said, and your performance is going to suffer, your recovery is going to suffer. So it's not the best if you're an athlete. And I encourage everyone to at least do some form of exercise or working out, because diet alone is not going to cut it. You need to exercise to move your lymphatic system, which is the detoxifying system of the body. And you need to exercise just for your mental health, all the endorphins, the positive chemicals in the brain that are released. So if intermittent fasting is impacting your exercise performance and your general lifestyle, then I wouldn't recommend doing it. Now, I've got a fly harassing me. Now, there are certain spiritual benefits that I've noticed. Like, I did a thing called the God Cleanse before, and that was like 20 hours rest, eating in a 4-hour window, like 10 till 2. And that was great. But you can hinder your athletic performance and you can lose a bit of muscle if you're not able to get the adequate calories in the time frame, which can be difficult if you're eating good, nutritious, whole foods. So if you're on a plant-based or a vegan or a raw vegan diet, it can be difficult, intermittent fasting. You can get it in an 8-hour window, but I wouldn't stress about it too much. If you're eating the right foods and doing the right other habits, then it's just a little tiny added bonus, intermittent fasting. It's got to work around your lifestyle and how you want to live. And another thing, it does raise your cortisol. So if you're fasting for too long, if your window's a bit too long, you'll notice your stress hormone cortisol goes up. You're a bit irritable to be around. You don't have the same sense of humor. You are hungry, you're hangry. And there's nothing wrong with that. People say that's because you've got an addiction to food. And that's not the case. I used to believe that, but it's not because you've got an addiction to food. It's because your brain, every cell in your body almost, needs glucose. It needs sugar. So if you're not feeding it, it's like, what's going on? It's a bit of a starvation response. And yeah, then you get hangry, your mood worsens, you're irritable, cortisol raises, your energy lowers, your brain is looking for food. So there's nothing wrong with that. Just feed it the right foods like fruit, vegetables, maybe like sweet potatoes, quinoa, things like that. That's what your body wants. And yeah, that's kind of why you get a bit hangry. And there's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. And the other benefit that I've sort of noticed and experienced and observed is if you do have certain ailments and chronic diseases, it can give your body a bit more of a rest. So like, let's say you've got a tiny little niggling ailment, it can free up energy to deal with that, because if you're constantly eating, then the body doesn't prioritize little things. So if you've got minor ailments, then it can be good. If you're like majorly ill, sometimes actually like water fasting or juice fasting or just a fruit only cleanse could be the solution, just temporarily. But yeah, it can definitely be more beneficial for healing certain things. But if you're already healthy, or you know, you just want to lose weight, you really don't need to intermittent fast to lose weight. I just don't focus on it at all now. I just focus on eating enough carbohydrates, about 70, 75, 80% carbohydrates in my diet, mainly coming from fruit, sweet potatoes, quinoa, sometimes normal potatoes. And yeah, that's about it for carbohydrates. Have like a couple spoonfuls of flaxseed every day. What else do I eat? A lot of vegetables, like lightly steamed vegetables like kale, broccoli, peas, lettuce. I have obviously raw, cucumbers, bell peppers, all that side of things. And I feel amazing. I'm able to stay lean year round. And that's all you need. Just focus on your fat percentage, the total of calories you get from fat. So I aim for about 10-15%. And I wouldn't go above that, because for me personally, that's when I start gaining fat. Because the more fat you eat, it is true, the more fat you wear, especially when you combine it with carbs. So yeah, you don't need to calorie restrict per se. You don't need to hyperfixate on it. Just focus on lowering your fat, being athletic, doing plenty of exercise, and things are going to improve. So that leads on to another couple of cons, where it can create eating disorders. Like if you already don't have the best relationship with food, it can lead to like rebounding. It can lead to hyperfixation on eating within a certain window, which isn't the best, obviously. And yeah, it can create stress, like I said, maybe socially, if your friends go out for dinner or you want to eat at a certain time with friends and family. If you're eating in a strict window, it can create that social issues. So it's something to be aware of. And yeah, it's a tool. It can definitely improve your spirituality a little bit, just because when you're not eating, you've got a clearer mind. And if you're not eating negative foods, then obviously your vibration is going to raise. But you really don't need to do it. Like, the way I think about it, if you're out in nature, in the tropics where humans originate, if you were hungry, you'd just eat. You'd listen to your body's signals. You wouldn't go on your little clock. So yeah, that's one thing. And I wouldn't recommend eating too early or too late though, because circadian rhythm is definitely a thing, and your digestive system is definitely more efficient in the middle of the day. That's when the digestive juices are like the strongest. So if you can eat your biggest meal sort of middle of the day, you know, noon, early PM, then you're going to feel your best. I wouldn't eat too late or too early, just because too early you're not properly hydrated enough. You want to drink plenty of water first before you eat, and too late, it can just disrupt your sleep quality and just make you feel a bit groggy the next day. So I'd recommend try to eat by about 6-7 PM or at least a few hours before you go to bed. And yeah, you'll feel amazing. So that's my experiences with it. At the minute, I don't hyperfixate on it. I just naturally kind of align with a 8-9 hour eating window, and it works for me. I think the main thing is you get the foundations right. You exercise, you drink enough water, you eat enough fruit, you maintain positive thoughts, you get enough sleep, all of that side of things. You're going to lose weight, you're going to feel good, you're going to have amazing energy and mental clarity, all that side of things. So you don't need to intermittent fast. It's a nice tool, try it out, but you no need to hyperfixate on it. Now, if you want to work with me one-to-one, and Luna, she doesn't say much though, then if you click the top link in the description, you can book a free call, see if we're a good fit, and I can help you lose fat, build lean muscle, improve your energy, maybe reverse certain ailments. No guarantees there, but a lot of ailments do seem to disappear, and chronic diseases. I can't make any promises legally, but it normally happens. And yeah, top link in the description, book a call. I don't bite. I'm just like I am on the videos. And yeah, enjoy the rest of your day. Much love, peace and love.